I'm Dan Ackerman, and we're here taking a look at the Samsung NC20. Now, this netbook stands out from the crowd for a couple of reasons. First, it's one of only a handful of 12-inch netbook-style laptops we've seen, and at 12 inches, I'd hesitate to even really call it a netbook. Secondly, it's the first laptop that we've seen with VIA's new Nano CPU, which is meant as a direct competitor to Intel's very popular Atom, which you find in pretty much every other netbook out there. So with a 12-inch screen, you get a slightly higher resolution, you get a bigger keyboard, although you lose some of that portability. It's a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier than what you might be used to in a netbook. I think the only other netbook that hit the 12-inch mark that we looked at is the Dell Mini 12, which seemed like a good idea at the time, but was saddled with Windows Vista instead of XP like on the Samsung, so it was kind of hard to use. So the big question is, how does the new VIA Nano compare to the Intel Atom? Well, it's always good to see some competition. The Atom has really been the dominant player in this space for a long time. Some of the very first netbooks we looked at almost 2 years ago had older VIA processors, and they were just terrible. They just couldn't handle it. The new Nano, however, pretty much tied the Atom in our benchmark tests. The Atom was faster in a couple of tests. The Nano was faster in a couple of tests. So possibly the best thing we could say about the VIA Nano is using the NC20 versus an Atom-powered netbook, we really couldn't tell the difference between which one we were using. So if you look closely, you'll notice that this is actually a Korean version of the NC20. It's not actually out in the US yet, but it should be soon. Samsung has only recently entered the US market. They're still kind of feeling their way through the waters here. I'd look for it later in the spring, probably between $500 and $600. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that's the Samsung NC20.